Say hello, give me some interaction in the chat. This is live, and so it's always good if we can interact live as we go. All right. All right. Welcome to today's session. We're going to talk all about the ultimate agency funnel. And I know if you're running an agency today and you've kind of been doing this for any period of time, most of us do a lot of different things to market ourselves, whether it's doing cold outreach, like sending email blasts, doing cold DMs, sitting in BNI lunches and breakfasts, and doing everything we can to try and get clients. Sometimes it feels like a chase, right? Sometimes it feels like we're doing all the effort, but we don't really get anything for it. Just type chase in the comments if you ever feel that way in your digital marketing agency. Like you got to chase down every single opportunity, and sometimes it just feels like there's no juice at the end. Let me know in the comments. Gerald says all the time. Yeah. And so that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about, yes, we're gonna deploy all these strategies to try and get appointments with our ideal prospects, but let's figure out how we can shift the paradigm a little bit and get the clients coming to us pre-positioned to buy. Just type me if that's you. Like you would like to put a process in place to have prospects showing up on your calendar. They already have some idea what you can do. They're already pretty interested, and it's just having the right conversation, asking the right questions, and ideally converting those prospects. All right, I got a couple of yeps. Tanya says me, fantastic, and I do appreciate you guys engaging with me in the chat. So when we think about growing and scaling our agency, we know there's a couple things we have to solve for. We got to land clients. We're going to have that process to get clients coming on a consistent basis. We got to deliver results in a systematized and streamlined way. We've got to retain those clients. We're going to actually keep them happy, keep them with us long term. And then ultimately, we've got to scale, put the systems, the procedures, and the team in place so we're not doing it all ourselves, right? And that's really what we all have to solve for at some level in our agency. I'd love for you just to let me know, if you think about your business right now, what's the biggest thing? Is it landing clients and kind of getting that system in place? Is it maybe more on the delivery side and kind of getting better results for the clients that you do have? Is it retention and keeping those clients around? Or is it scale? Is it around the systems, the procedures, and the team? Let me know. Should be one of those four key things that you're focused on. Gerald says landing clients. And if you happen to be watching this after on the Facebook group or on YouTube somewhere, comment with me. This helps me know that you're seeing it and helps me know that you're participating in this process. So landing clients, good thing you're on today's session, because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about landing clients on a consistent basis. And really, that's usually the first thing we have to solve, right? If we're not landing clients, we can have great website, SEO, pay-per-click, we can have great AI, we can have great strategies, but that's not really going to make a difference. So that's the first thing we have to solve for as we grow and as we scale. And even as we've maybe grown our agency to a high six figures or seven figures, we constantly need to be retooling our client acquisition strategies. So would love to get to know you guys a little bit before we get all the way in today. Let me know, just when it comes to your agency, are you a niche agency or are you a generalist agency? Like, do you work just with like a specific industry? Like in my case, we work with plumbing and HVAC companies, or do you just work with anybody and everybody? Let me know. And there's a poll that just came up. If you happen to not be on Zoom, you can type it into the chat, generalist or niche. Give you guys a quick sec. This helps me get a feel also for what you guys have going and kind of what the setup in the live audience is. All right, good. A lot of you guys niche focused, which I think is super, super great. And I think that's a function of you've been following me potentially, and you know that I'm a big believer in choose a niche, position yourself as the expert, get clients to come to you pre-positioned to buy. Some of you are generalists, and that's okay. I will say when it comes to putting a funnel in place to get clients to come to you pre-positioned to buy, being in a very specific vertical makes that so much easier. All right, we can end that poll. Last question I want to ask is, we're all in one of these stages in the agency growth process. We're either at startup, like our first 10K in monthly recurring revenue, just trying to get some revenue going in the business. We're at stability between $10,000 and $30,000, trying to stabilize the business, trying to get some consistency in place. $30,000 to $83,000 in monthly recurring. That's when we're in the scale phase within the business, all the way through to we're already at seven figures or more, and we're on our way to eight figures. Just let me know by answering answering this poll, what stage are you at in your agency? Hopefully that poll comes up. Did that poll get launched, guys? Yes. Okay. Cool. Let us know, what stage are you? I know sometimes we've got people in here that are seven figures, multiple seven figures. Sometimes we got a lot of people in the startup phase. Again, this just gives us a lay of the land, and this is live, right? So if you're on with me on Zoom right now, I'm live, you're live. Type your questions, have your webcams on. Let's make this interactive. Let's make sure you get what you need from today's session. If you are watching after the fact, feel free to comment as well, because I do look at the comments and helps me, make sure that you're tracking along with me. All right, so let's get into this ultimate agency funnel, and poll just closed, and really what it entails, why it's important, and why you want to get this in play within your agencies. I want to start by saying this funnel works and it's proven. As some of you guys know, I run Plumbing and HVAC SEO. That's my agency. It did $7 million last year. This is the funnel I use for every client that we've gotten in plumbing and HVAC SEO, right? And we've developed this over the years. We've innovated it over the years, but just looking at the kind of the big stats, over 32,000 leads within plumbing and HVAC have opted into this at some level. 2,712 strategy sessions have been conducted through this funnel. 561 retainer-based clients. That's $1.2 million in MRR sold. I wish we could kept all of it, right? But that's how much has been sold over the years. And cumulative over $30 million in revenue. So just type proven. If that's enough of a track record that you feel like this is a pretty proven process, right? Especially if you're a niche agency and you're selling digital marketing services, like this, I've cut my teeth on this. It's worked really well. It's helped us grow our agency to the place it is today, which is phenomenal. But it's also been proven in hundreds of other agencies we've had the opportunity to work with. We put together a simple workbook for you guys that kind of shows you visuals of the funnel, gives you some of the details. If you want the workbook with the links and kind of the flows, just type in funnel in the chat. Whether you're watching on Zoom or maybe you're watching this after the fact, just type funnel. That lets the team know, okay, we got to send it off, and we'll get that into your hands. All right. Bunch of funnels coming in. Fantastic. Very good. Very nicely done. Fantastic. You can also grab this by going to sevenfigureagency.com/funnel, sevenfigureagency.com/funnel. I see we've got a couple members on with us of Seven Figure Agency. Tony, I'm glad to have you here. Just this is a like a general session. You're glad to have you here. We're going to give you guys the complete swipe and deploy if you're members. If you're not members, you're going to get the checklist and things like that. All right, so that's the funnel. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Type ready in the comments if you're ready to hit the ground running. You're ready to get into action. My promise for you today on this session is to give you a systematic approach to get new clients coming in pre-positioned to buy on a month in and month out basis, right? That's the promise. That's the plan. I'm going to give you the step-by-step. I'm going to give you the details. I'm going to give you everything you need in order to get this in play. And like I said, over $30 million in revenue generated through this funnel for my agency. There's also been a lot of other agencies that have leveraged this exact process. We're on a mission to help 500 agencies go to seven figures over the next 5 years. So far, 150 agencies or over 150 agencies over seven figures in the seven figure agency community. And so this is a proven process. It works really, really well. I don't want to beat a dead horse on that front. And if you look at this as part of our growth system, which I'll go back to again and again and again, there's things we need to do daily. There's things we need to do monthly. There's things we need to do quarterly in order to fill our funnel, right? In order to keep customers coming to us pre-positioned to buy, right? So we're doing cold outreach. We're doing Facebook ads. We're doing Google ads. We're creating content on a consistent basis. We're reaching out to our ideal prospects. Those are things we're doing daily. Monthly, we're doing one webinar, one information-based webinar on whatever the topic is, and one podcast interview with somebody that's successful within the industry that you serve. And then quarterly, we're getting out to industry events and conferences where we can either have a booth or we can speak or we can do a breakout, because when we get belly to belly, something powerful happens. And then on a quarterly basis, we're doing one case study, right? We're taking one client we've worked with and we're showcasing here's where they were, here's where they are today, here's the results we've gotten. That proves your results. And the idea behind this is to do enough activity to get at least 15 strategy sessions per month. And I found that to be like a magic sweet spot. and the number of appointments you need in order to be in momentum, in order to be landing clients on a consistent basis. So I want you to type that number in the chat for me. 15. That's the goal of your marketing system. That's the goal of your marketing strategy. At a minimum, is to get 15 strategy sessions with your ideal clients on a consistent basis. Awesome. Now, where does the appointment funnel come into play? Well, the appointment funnel isn't just to have someone schedule in on your calendar and be like, all right, show me what you can do. The idea behind the appointment funnel is we want to warm them up. We want them to see some of our value in advance. We want to put an open loop in their mind when they feel like there's a problem you can help them solve. And so the idea behind our appointment funnel is to get people to come into that appointment pre-positioned to buy, excited about the meeting, and really leaning into what you can do for them. And then we want to have a great sales process where we ask the right questions, where we ask for the business in a nice, tight way so that we can convert at 30% or higher. And mathematically speaking here, if we get 15 strategy sessions per month and we close at 30%, and then we've got an average monthly retainer of $1,500 to $3,000 or more, we can get to 7 figures over 12 months or less. Of course, that assumes we can retain the clients, and ideally we want to retain at 97% or higher. So just zoomed way out to the growth system, big picture, how you can add 7 figures every single 12 months. Now let's get into the nitty gritty here with the actual funnel and that process to get those prospects coming in pre-positioned to buy. As I think about our agency, Plumbing and HVAC SEO, I think about like what worked for us and how we were able to grow, and our basically within the first year we grew to $500,000. Within the first 2 years we had grown to 7 figures, and again we've grown to about $7 million per year at this stage in the game. But as I look back and I think like, what was the big differentiator? What was it that accelerated our growth? The biggest thing was this shift from chasing prospects down, like cold calling them, trying to get them to take a minute with us, to having them come to us pre-positioned to buy. And so that's what we're going to be talking a lot about on today's session. And again, in your workbook, which we've shared with you guys, which you all have access to, if you didn't get it, just type funnel and we'll drop the link for you. The big picture, we want to have a reason for them to opt in. And then we want to move them straight to the next step, which is to schedule in. And then we want to have a hot lead follow-up, which is going to convert them from, I'm interested in what you can do, and I'm very interested in possibly doing business with you, all the way through to they've signed on the dotted line. They've given us their credit card authorization form. And so we're going to get into the nitty-gritty on this. This is a visual. Again, it's in your workbook with like kind of how it flows and what the pages look like. And there's some nuance to not just having pages that are connected, but pages, copy, and video, persuasive video, that move people through this and lubricate the process in addition to emails and text messages and everything in between. So we're going to get into 5 keys on this. I promise to give you guys a checklist. That way you can go back and execute this. Again, if you're a 7-figure agency member or you're interested in joining 7-figure agency, we give you the actual funnel in high level with the workflows and the snapshot that you can pull right in. Today's session is big picture, giving you the strategy. And if you wanted to recreate it, by all means. But again, actually giving you the snapshot itself is reserved for people that are part of the 7-figure agency coaching and mentorship programs. So step 1 is we want to start with the end in mind. And what this means is when we're selling digital marketing services, what is it we actually want them to do? Somebody put that in the chat for me. What's the end? What's the end outcome that we want our clients to do, or our prospects that are meeting with us in the sales process? What is the end? If we're thinking about the end in mind for our funnel, what is it? Drop it into the chat for me. If you're watching after the fact, drop it into the chat. Oh, I feel like my chat is frozen. Hold on. Hire us. Sign as a new client. Close. Schedule a meeting. To buy. Yeah, good answers, guys. So the end that we have is we want them to give us a credit card authorization or an ACH authorization, agreeing to our monthly retainer fee. That's the end that we have in mind. So with that, we need to map the funnel and the flow. So like, what would the steps need to be in order for them to be in a place where they're like, okay, I'm signing up for your $3,000 a month thing. Well, they probably would have need to met with us and had a great conversation. They would have need to have perceived a disconnect between what they're doing today and what we can bring to the table. And we want to do it without adding a bunch of extra friction. And I stubbed my toe on this over the years because there's a lot of information about how to get people. And it was like, there was a lot of information, at least as I was building this initially, around, well, sell them something cheap, give them a tripwire. And then from there, you want to give them a profit maximizer. And we're going to try and get them to buy the cheap thing and then see a problem and then buy a more expensive thing like an audit. And then once you've done the audit, then we're going to try and sell them the retainer. Type me if you've ever tried to do like the tripwire, profit maximizer, paid audit, all of that stuff. At least in my experience, that created friction, right? It slowed down the process. Heard of it, haven't done it. I was thinking of it, LOL. Listen, I can only teach from my experience. There's a million ways to do this. Again, my experience and the hundreds of agencies we've worked with, it's best to take them to appointment, to get them on the appointment, have a great conversation and lead with value, find a gap, and then present your program. And present the program you want to sell, right? If you're trying to sell a $3,000 a month, then sell the $3,000 a month versus trying to sell them an audit and then sell them a cheap program and hope that you can upsell them, months and months down the track. So number 3, we want to bait the hook, right? A lot of advertisers in the digital marketing space are trying to go straight to appointment. I'm going to advertise cold on Facebook, or I'm going to advertise cold on YouTube, and I'm going to try and say, schedule an appointment. And that's a big ask, right? That's like walking up to the girl in the bar and asking her to go back to your place, right? It's like too quick. We got to spend a little time, right? We got to warm them up. We got to, get them to like us a little bit, add a little bit of value. And I speak completely out of context on this because I've been married since I was like 18 years old. So I have no experience with the whole bar scene, but the analogy plays, right? We have to make sure, don't just lead with like, let's schedule an appointment and try and do business. Give them something of value, invite them to a webinar, give them a case study, offer to send them a copy of your book, give them a list of keywords. There's a million ways we can bait the hook and give them something they want in advance versus trying to go straight to appointment. So just type bait in the comments here if you feel like that makes sense. We want to maybe come out with something more interesting and relevant out of the gates versus going straight to appointment. Lauren says, yep, bait, awesome. Number 4 is we want to offer a shortcut. And what this means is if the end in mind is we want them to sign up for our monthly retainer program. And we know that in order to get that, we would need to have taken them through a strategy session. Really, that's the goal. All of our marketing leads to them scheduling a strategy session with us and actually showing up to it. Then we want to make sure that we offer shortcuts. And so if, for instance, your lead magnet is a book, which we'll talk about here in a minute, potentially, this is our book, How to Triple Your Sales by Getting Your Internet Marketing Right for Plumbing, HVAC, Home Services. That's compelling, right? So, hey, look, I kind of want the book. I'd like to get the book on that. But if we think about the amount of time and energy it's going to take for them to consume this content or for them to receive this content and to get value, they're going to have to give us their name, their mailing address, right? They're going to have to wait a couple of days for it to arrive at the office. And then you're going to have to assume they're going to stop what they're doing and read the book cover to cover before they're ready to take the next step. And I made this mistake for a long time. I was like, oh, we sent hundreds of these books out. And we have to offer the shortcut because your business owner that you want to do business with is a type A, they're busy, they got a million things going on. They may request a book, they're probably not going to read it, or they may register for a webinar, they probably aren't going to sit on it. They may request a long form video, but they probably won't watch it. And so what we want to make sure is say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and send you the book. You're going to love it. It's going to be awesome. But if you're like most plumbing and HVAC companies, you want to understand how it works, but really you just want someone that can implement this for you. So let's go ahead and schedule a time now. Like in all of your marketing, if you don't take anything else from this training today, make sure that you offer the shiny thing that they want, but then offer them the shortcut right after. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, but just type shortcut in the comments if that makes sense. If you're kind of tracking what I'm talking about there, offer the shortcut every single time. And we want to offer the shortcut to the meeting, right? Everything we want to do is to move them as frictionless as possible to a one-on-one where they can actually have an intelligent business conversation with you. All right, a bunch of you guys typing in shortcut in the comments, which is super helpful. And then number 5 is we're going to make sure we follow up on all fronts, right? Regardless of what they opt in for, regardless of how they schedule, we want to email them, we want to text message them, we want to call them, we want to connect with them on social media, because they're not just going to automatically jump through all the hoops and wind up on your calendar, right? And there's some automations that can get them on the calendar, but we want to make sure we're following up in all of the different ways using all of the different platforms. Okay, so visually, this is the flow. I'm going to show you in detail, but we're going to offer them the opportunity to opt in. And let's just say it's the book. I'm just going to use this as an example because it's a nice visual hook, right? Here, I'm going to send you a copy of this book, right? We want to give them the opportunity to opt in for that. In a lot of cases, what I see is after they opt in for the thing, they're taken to a page that says, awesome, here's the thing, right? Here's like a PDF version of the book. Or you check your email, I sent you a PDF of the book, and it's all text-based. What we want to do is leverage video where possible. So they've just opted in. The confirmation page is where they're most captive. You've got their undivided attention for that short window of time. We want to have an autoplay video on that page that says, hey, thanks so much for requesting the book. I'm going to go ahead and ship it out to you. And if you're like most people, let's go ahead and schedule a time, right? We're trying to move them straight to the next step. Now, obviously, we're going to have a follow-up sequence that delivers it. And then we're going to send them a couple of messages. Hey, did you get the book? What did you think of the book? Was it useful? Did you have any questions? Like, we're going to follow up in a variety of different ways. But I think also really important is we want to connect with them on social media. And I think a lot of agencies skip this part. They just let the emails run and maybe the SMS if they're using high level or some other more sophisticated system. But we also want to go find that person, connect them with them on Facebook and LinkedIn at a minimum, ideally also Instagram and TikTok if your prospects happen to hang out there. Because if we can connect with them outside of just the direct channels, we're more likely to get their attention. So we're going to have an autoplay video. We're going to send emails and messages, and we're going to try and connect with them on social media. All of our follow-up is driving them to the next step. If we can get them to take that next step right on the confirmation page, that's a win. But if not, all of our emails, all of our communication is trying to get them to reply back, to interest qualify, and move them to the appointment. Now, in the appointment process, we're just saying, hey, if you're ready to take your business to the next level, go ahead and schedule a time, right? And you may ask them to fill in a form in advance, or you may just give them the link to your calendar where they can pick a date and a time. This is also a place where most agencies drop the ball. Somebody just scheduled in because they're going to meet with you to hear what you have to say. And then the confirmation page just takes them to a default calendar that's like, all right, you're confirmed. Click here to add this to your calendar. And that's it. Again, once they've scheduled, we've got their undivided attention. This is as excited as they're going to be about possibly doing business with you. We want to leverage video on that confirmation page where they can see your face, they can see your energy, and you can say, hey, thanks so much for scheduling. I'm really excited about connecting with you. Hey, just so you know, we're going to do a lot of due diligence on the front end to prep for this. We're going to pull up your website, your rankings, your current, online marketing elements. And we really like it if you can make sure that you're there, right? We're going to be there, you be there, right? Thumbs up if that's okay. And then kind of set the stage. Man, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Here's what you can expect. And in order to help you get mentally prepared for the meeting, take a look at some of the examples and case studies before, right? Just so they can get primed. Type yes if you feel like if you had your prospects go through that type of pre-positioning before they met with you, they'd be more likely to buy, right? So we want to use that opportunity after they've scheduled to get them primed. Yes, a bunch of you guys saying yes, fantastic. Now, we're also going to follow up via text message, via email. We're going to send a text reminder, hey, tomorrow, like today at 3, excited to see you there. Like we're going to use all of those automations. But the goal here, the goal in your appointment confirmation isn't just to get them to show up. It's to get them to show up excited and ready, right? We want to prime them so they're not just like, oh, maybe I'll do this, maybe I won't, but they're actually going to show up and they're actually going to be excited. Now, once we meet with them, we're going to take them through a consultative sales process. It's a whole separate conversation around how we sell these services. But After that, we're going to ask for the business. Ideally, we're going to schedule the kickoff call. And in the perfect world, we'd close right on the phone, right? We'd say, hey, all right, cool. This sounds great. Let's schedule your kickoff call. Thursday at 3. Yes, great. All right. Just need to take care of payment. What credit card do you want to use? All right, great. Got that credit card. And I'm going to send you an agreement for you to sign next, right? And that domino effect works really well for closing. Unfortunately, not everybody closes on one call, right? Especially when you're dealing with $1 million, $5 million, $10 million companies, we can't expect every sales opportunity to close on one call. And so what we want to do is develop a hot lead follow-up process, which is after that conversation, they said they've interested. They feel like you feel like they're a good fit. They feel like you're a good fit. Rather than saying, I'm going to send you a proposal, which I know a lot of agencies do, what we want to do is schedule the next call. All right, hey, listen, let's meet Thursday at 3 o'clock. Does that work for you? All right, we get that scheduled in. And then we add them to a hot lead follow-up, which is the automation that almost every agency skips, right? It's like, okay, I met with the person. They seemed interested. Hopefully they give me their credit card, or hopefully they click that DocuSign and they sign the agreement. What we want to do is schedule the next call and then have an automatic follow-up sequence that reverse engineers down to a 2-week deadline to move them to yes or no. Just type hot lead if you feel like this is an opportunity for you to plug in. We found that when we put this in at Plumbing and HVAC SEO, it made a big difference in our conversion rates. It made a big difference in really understanding what was truly in play in our pipeline. All right, see a lot of hot leads coming in. All right, so again, in the workbook that I gave you guys, you've got a visual that shows you what these pages look like and how they interconnect and kind of what the KPIs that you're looking for each. If you didn't get that, feel free to type funnel in the chat. We'll make sure to get it over to you. So let's roll up our sleeves and let's kind of get into each of these elements. Let's get into the details on this. That way you're really clear on what this looks like and how it comes into play. A couple of you guys typing funnel. Justin or somebody on the team, please send them the link. Fantastic. So again, it's funnel dash workbook. All right. When it comes to the opt-in, right? We talked about this at the beginning. We want to have a simple page that's like, hey, here's the thing, right? Could be a checklist, could be a keyword list, could be a case study, could be a deep dive training video. And it's just like a simple page where they can see how to win online and maximize your lead flow. Click here. And when they click it, it comes up to a page that asks for their name, their email, and their phone number. And a lot of agency training or a lot of training on, hey, should I collect an email address? Should I collect the cell phone number? Like, I don't know, should we ask for that? That creates more friction. What I found is if I can't call them and I can't text them, I'm probably not going to be able to connect with them. And so I definitely would pay more per lead and create a little more friction and ask for that cell phone number. Could they give me a fake number? Sure. But most people, when they opt in for something, they'll give you their name, their email, and cell phone number. You want to get that cell phone number. Just put a hashtag in the comments. Even if you don't do anything else, you go in and you'll add that cell phone column. That way you can follow up and actually have a probability of getting them on the phone or getting them to engage with you in a text message. Just put the hashtag symbol. All right, Val Grasper. Okay, fantastic. Some of the best lead magnets. And as you guys know, I'm a big fan of the hard copy book. I think there's something tangible, there's something valuable about a book. Most people won't throw a book in the trash. Like they'll keep it around even if they never read it. But some of the best lead magnets that you can put in place in your agency are a checklist, a simple one-page checklist, the complete guide to internet marketing or the ultimate checklist for online marketing for whatever niche you happen to be in. It's compelling. It seems like it's very easy to consume and it's easy to set up. You can have a checklist lead magnet done typically in a couple of hours, right? Especially if you got a Canva template, you put in the things that you want in there. That's a really compelling lead magnet. Works well in the agency space. A case study, when you do this right, can be really, really good. How Meridian Advantage generated 652 leads last month, like actually showcasing a result that you got for a client with some step-by-step that they can replicate. A website conversion framework, like how to optimize the website to maximize conversion, has worked well for us over the years. Believe it or not, if you're doing SEO, how many of you guys do some type of SEO or ranking optimization in what you do? Type SEO in the chat if that's part of what you do. All right, got a lot of you guys doing SEO. A keyword list works really good. Like you're going to say, hey, We've got a complete list of the most commonly searched keywords in this industry. Our team has put it together, put it into a spreadsheet with search volume. Click here and you get access to the keyword list. That is very specific. It's very actionable. And also it shows intent, right? They wouldn't be asking for a keyword list unless they were looking to do something with their online marketing. So lots of different lead magnets. Some are a little more complicated to get set up. Some are relatively easy. Like the keyword list one is super simple, as well as the checklist or the guide. So I want to know, which lead magnet will you lead with? Let me know in the chat. If you had to think of like a lead magnet you could get into play right away, what would it be for you? Checklist. And for those of you that are part of Seven Figure, like Tony, pumped to have you here with us as part of the mastermind. You guys have access to all of our lead magnets. So in the member portal, all of these, they're there for you, swipe and deploy. Okay, so once you've figured out what lead magnet you're going to use, we have to have the lead magnet itself. And then you have to have a hero visual of it. So in other words, like this is the lead magnet. Let's say it's the book, but the book itself isn't a visual. And so really what we're talking about is like either a picture of you holding the thing or just the thing itself in a visual format. You need the actual visual so that you can put it on the landing page. That's what I call the hero image. We have to have the opt-in page and then the confirmation page, right? This is where the money is made, is on that confirmation page and the way that you set up that confirmation process. And then the follow-up sequence with the workflow. The tech stack we use for all of this stuff is high level, right? Everything from the landing page, the follow-up sequence, the SMS, the pipeline, connecting it to our website. High level. If you use high level today, just type high level in the chat. Big fan of high level. Used to use Infusionsoft. Just found it, it's got a lot of things built in that make it easy. All right, a lot of high level users. Could you do the same thing in any other platform? Most of it. Yeah, you could do this in HubSpot. You could do this in ActiveCampaign. You could do this in a lot of different platforms. Just high level is really, really simple to use, and so that's what we use. Couple of elements from the opt-in to the appointment that make a big difference. Speed to lead. Even when they're opting in for a book or they're opting in for a cheat sheet or a keyword list, speed to lead. Right after they request the thing, you've got a window of time where they know who you are. They have some level of interest in what you can potentially bring to the table. You want to be quick, not just with your automations. And yes, we want to automatically send the email. We want to automatically send a text message. But if you can be quick to get them on the phone, or you can be quick to connect with them on social media and get them to accept your friend request, the first 5 minutes is where the money's made. After that, you're going to hope that you catch their attention. You're going to hope to get them back. So think about anybody that opts in. You or somebody on your team is trying to follow up as quickly and rapidly as possible. We want to have the nurture sequence that follows up via email and text message. It should follow up, trying to move them to appointment. And then you want to move them to a long-term nurture where they're going to hear from you every single week, basically into perpetuity or until they say, leave me alone, right? And we want to have a long-term follow-up sequence. We want to retarget, right? Make sure that if you're organically or through paid traffic driving prospects to your opt-in, that we're also going to pixel them so that we can remain omnipresent in their world. And then we want to add them to a Facebook group. Like we might as well aggregate them into a Facebook group. That made a big impact for us, and having our own Facebook group within the industry that's growing and helping to monetize all of the advertising spend that we put into play. So again, I'm going to ask, what's the lead magnet you will use? Benefits of a Facebook group. Jab. So when you're advertising, right, we're trying to collect an email database. We want to get their names, we want to get their email addresses, we want to get their cell phone numbers. That's a database that sits, like, say, in high level, and we can communicate with those folks through our platform. When we put them in a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or whatever grouping you want to use, that's another place where we're able to aggregate their attention. It's another place where we're able to post and get their attention and be out in front of them, where we can communicate with them, we can chat with them, we can form a relationship where we can develop know, like, and trust. And so that's why, right? If we're already getting them on our email list, let's also get them into a Facebook group or some other place, or even like a school group potentially, or whatever platform you want to use. Just give me a one jab if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Got it. Okay, cool. The next thing is the appointment. Remember, everything we're doing from the opt-in is to get their attention so that we can give them something of value in advance. And then from there, everything is pushing towards we want to schedule appointment. We want to schedule a time with them one-to-one. And so the appointment funnel, the way we have it structured is they go to a page like this where it's got a video autoplay, and everything we do, if you look at Plumber SEO, everything we do is pointing back to plumberseo.net/schedule. And there's a video that says, hey, if you run a plumbing, HVAC, or electrical company and you're trying to generate better results online, let's schedule a lead flow acceleration session, right? And we're going to do this. We're going to run a ranking report. We're going to look at your online website. We're going to look at your paid search strategy and show you exactly where there's room for improvement. So if that sounds good, enter your details over here on the side and let's schedule in, right? This first page in your funnel, you want to sell them on the meeting. You want to sell them on why they want to spend time to meet with you. And if you give it a name, that also makes it more compelling. You can choose whether you're going to use a pre-screen process or just give them the appointment, like the calendar where they can pick a time. What we found is we get a lot of volume. We get people coming into our funnel all the time, and a lot of them aren't in home services. They don't spend enough money to be a good fit. And so what we do is we use a survey process. So before they see our schedule, we're asking them, do you run a plumbing HVAC company? Are you doing it? How much are you spending in marketing, right? And they'll tell you 0 to 1,000, 1,000 to 5,000, 5,000 plus. If they're not spending at least $1,000 a month in advertising, probably not a great fit for us, right? So we ask these questions to pre-screen who's going to be a fit, and assuming they're qualified, then it's going to take them to a page where they see the calendar and they can pick a time, right? And very low friction. They can say, I can meet on tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And then after that, we want to take them to a page that warms them up. Remember, the outcome that we want for our appointment funnel is for them to be able to schedule in and then show up excited, show up pre-positioned to buy. And there's a lot of magic in this confirmation page where there's a video. Hey, thanks so much for scheduling. It's going to be amazing. We're going to do a bunch of due diligence before the appointment, so please make sure you've got this on the calendar. If you could, take a couple minutes, take a look at a couple of the examples and case studies of what we've done with other plumbing, HVAC, home service companies. That way you can get a sense of what's possible, right? We want to seed those expectations. We want to set them up coming into the appointment excited. So the way we structure this is confirmation video. Obviously, we can embed that from YouTube, or we can embed it from Wistia or Vimeo. We happen to use Wistia. Link to the calendar directly on that confirmation page. We've got that right inside high level. So we used to use Calendly. I like having it all in one place. And so having the high level do the whole thing is great. Pre-appointment questionnaire. We used to use a platform called Email Me Form. Again, high level's got surveys and forms. The surveys have the conditional logic where we can ask those questions and disqualify people if they don't answer the way we want them to. Indoctrination emails in our workflow, SMS in our workflow, and a little bonus thing that you can do if you've already got most of this stuff set up. You're like where's the little action that I can put in place that will have an impact here, is to give them some pre-meeting homework. So what we used to do was say, hey, all right, you're scheduled in, watch these case studies, read the book, give them a bunch of homework coming into the appointment. And most people didn't do that stuff, and they really probably weren't that influenced by any of it. And so what we started to do is ask them to do a pre-meeting assessment, right? And this is it's like a 15-minute video where I walk them through the accelerated growth model, right? If we're going to grow your plumbing HVAC business, there's 3 things, right? We got to drive leads, we got to maximize conversion, we got to optimize for results. And I kind of walk through that model, and I ask them to grade themselves on how they're driving leads. And we talk about SEO and paid search and database marketing. Are they doing great on that, or is there a gap? And I usually try and get them to realize there's at least one gap there. And then we talk about maximizing conversion, their reputation, their speed to lead, and as well as their automations that they may or may not have put in place, and I ask them to grade themselves on that. And then I come down to tracking and return on investment, right? If you don't know what your average cost per lead is, what your true ROI is, you're just going to be spending money and you're not going to have any way to gauge your results. And so you're kind of opening these loops in their head and ideally getting them to come to that appointment having watched a video like this and saying, man, you know what? I don't have the marketing automation piece dialed in. My tracking is not really helping me see my true ROI. And so they're coming in like, I've got these problems that I think you can solve. So there's a fact in reality. if there's not a perceived issue, if there's not a perceived problem when they come in, if there's not a problem on the sales call that you can solve, there's no deal, right? So just type problem if that's clear. In your sales process, yes, you can talk about how good your marketing is, you can show great results, but if they don't have a perceived bleeding neck problem, you're probably not going to close anybody on anything, right? So you're opening up and exposing the problem and helping them to perceive that problem. And this isn't for everybody. This is a little bit more of an advanced tactic, but if you're at a place where you've got a lot of this stuff running, just adding this as the pre-appointment process makes a big difference. Jab says problem. I watched the video. It's very good. All right, fantastic, right? And a lot of you guys have funnel hacked this stuff and looked at how I structure it, but that's a big piece. And if we can get them to see we've crushed it for other people like them and we've gotten other people results, we also want to have them see that stuff as well. How many of you guys have ever been or are frustrated by being ghosted on appointments? Just type ghosted or no show if it's easier to type than ghosted, where you've got all your tabs up, you've done your prep work for the appointment, you're excited, you're like, okay, I'm gonna have a great meeting, and then you start the Zoom meeting and 1 minute passes, 3 minutes pass, 5 minutes, and you're like, come on, now the person didn't even show up. That is frustrating. Val says ghosted, Lori says me. Yeah, we've all experienced it. And so there's a couple things you can do to significantly improve the probability that they actually show up for your appointment, or at least let you know that they're not going to come, because it's very disrespectful to not show up for your appointments, right? One of the easiest things you can do is make sure that they see you or your salesperson as a human being prior to the appointment. So if all we're doing is sending text messages and emails and automatic videos, that feels like very automated, and there's no human connection there. And what we found is if we can get them to do one of two things: reply back to our text message or connect with us on social media, they're much more likely to show up. And so very simple thing you do, right? You send your text message, hey, you're confirmed Thursday at 3 o'clock, add it to the calendar. Send another message from a different number saying, if it's your salesperson or if it's you, hey, this is Josh. We're scheduled for Thursday at 3. Shoot me a quick reply to confirm that, that. Now you've started a conversation. But the other thing you can do is right after they schedule, go and find them on Facebook and send a friend request. Go and find them on LinkedIn and send a connection request. Right? Already there, they're seeing that you're showing a little more effort as an organization because you're trying to connect outside of just the automations. Right? So just type connect if you can do that. They scheduled in. It's not like you're getting hundreds of meetings every single month. You're probably getting a handful of meetings every single month. Once they schedule, go and connect. You or your VA or somebody on your team goes and connects with your personal profile. Now, in order to supercharge this, once you're connected, what you're going to do is you're going to send them a message that just says their first name. Rocco, in this case, right? His name is Rocco, and I'm sending Rocco. And now that we've connected, when somebody sends you a simple message that just says your first name, you're almost implored to write back, hey, or hey, yeah, who's this? Or hey, what's going on, right? That right there, now they're seeing you as a human being. You've connected with them. The last thing you want to do, and in order to add this, is take out your cell phone and do a simple, not a pre-recorded video, just a quick, straight to the camera. Hey, Brian, I see you just scheduled your strategy session. Really pumped to connect with you tomorrow. That's it. Just type video, like a brief video. If you can send one of these types of videos to the prospects that have just scheduled with you and connected with you before the appointment. Val says video. All right. Funny enough, if all you did from today's workshop, if all you did was start doing this with everybody that schedules with you, you're going to have a better connection. You're going to have more people show up. You're going to have a better outcome in your sales process. So just type me if you're going to do that. If you're going to shoot a quick video, bake this into your everyday process. Love it. Fantastic. Okay. Now, show up campaign is pretty simple. We do a couple things. Landing pages on high level, appointment calendar high level, email confirmation, text confirmation high level. The only piece you can't really do with high level is connect with the person on social media, right? I mean, like there's no automation that says, go find a person and press connect, go find them on LinkedIn, press connect. So what I like to do is just make this a task that's automatically set up in project management, whether you use ClickUp or Trello or whoever, that creates a task for you or for your VA. And as soon as that happens, they go find the person on social media. And then once they're connected, they send you a Slack message that says, hey, shoot the video for this individual before your appointment. Makes a big difference. Yeah. Christy says, high level makes this really easy. The other thing you want to make sure that you're doing in this appointment process, especially as it relates to your appointment funnel, is drop them onto a pipeline. There was years and years and years of plumbing and HVAC SEO where it was all in Infusionsoft, and it was literally someone would schedule in, it would go in on a calendar system that was separate, and I didn't have a pipeline to see like who was in play, who was scheduled, who did we meet with or not meet with, and having a visual pipeline makes a big difference. High level, this is kind of just baked into the platform, but make sure that you've got a funnel for this process inside of a pipeline. The way we do it at Plumbing and HVAC SEO is somebody opts in, and it could be for anything. It could be for a webinar, it could be for the book, it could be for one of our cheat sheets or lead magnets, and they hit the opted in section in the pipeline. Now, just because they opted in doesn't mean they're qualified. It doesn't mean they're a good fit. Doesn't even mean that they're in the industry. And so we've got an appointment center that then is researching those prospects. And they're saying, is this a legitimate person? Are they legitimately in our market? Like, are they legit? That's all we're trying to decide. And if they are, we drag them over to qualified, right? And that's kind of like an appointment center that's just doing research and it's looking up, and they're pending information. If they gave us a bogus email, can we find the right email? If they didn't give us a cell phone number, can we find a cell phone number? And they enter those details and they move it to qualified leads. Now, our appointment team is focused on anybody that's in this qualified leads stage in the pipeline. Of course, they're calling, they're emailing, they're connecting on social media, trying to see if there's a problem, if there's an issue, if they want to schedule a time to meet. And then once they schedule through the pipeline, it automatically moves them to scheduled strategy session, right? And so just type pipeline if you don't have this in place, and this is an opportunity to dial this in a little bit better so you have a visual view of who's actually in play, what deals are actually in flow within your business. So put it on a pipeline, manage the pipeline, keep it up to date, keep it clean. Amazing. And for most agencies, this is kind of where the agency funnel ends. And I really believe that adding a hot lead follow-up to the end of this process makes a huge difference, like literally a 2 to 3 time difference in the outcomes, because somebody schedules in, right? And they get warmed up to buy, right? And we have a great meeting with them. We take them through the consultative sales process. We ask about where they are today, what their goals are, what they're doing with their marketing, why this isn't now a thing, why it's important that they get this into play. And we get their buy-in that there's a serious problem they need to solve right now. And then we ask if we can show them what we can do, right? And we walk them through our program and we walk them through the analysis. Hey, we pulled up these keywords and you're not coming up for these different things. We looked at your website and it's not converting because this, that, or the other. And we looked at all of these factors and we feel like there's a problem that we can help you solve, right? And they agree that there's a problem. They agree that they think you can help them solve it. And then you ask if it's okay to show what you do, right? And you walk them through your program overview and you walk them through what you can bring to the table and how much it costs, and you ask for the business. And ideally they say yes, but sometimes they say, hey, I need to think about it, or hey, I need to talk with my partner, or hey, I need to whatever. And that's fine too, right? And so in that point, we're going to set them an appointment out into the future, but we also want to put a hot lead follow-up process in place. And what a hot lead follow-up process does is it nurtures them in between that first appointment and the final yes, the final okay, the final credit card authorization form. And so what we like to put in play here is a shock and awe package, right? We're like, to this point in the sales process, typically everything's happened over the phone and Zoom, and they're interested, but they haven't given us the credit card form yet. Let's send a package in the mail. And we send this in a branded envelope. It's got a copy of our book. It's got a program overview. It's got a bunch of client case studies. It's got a bunch of client references. And it's just impressive outside the norm of what they would normally see. And then we set up an email sequence and a text message sequence that moves them forward in that process. And the last really important part of the hot lead follow-up is to have a deadline. Just type deadline. If you're okay, I'm going to kind of explain this concept a little bit, but we want to have a deadline that says, hey, look, can we both decide one way or the other that we'll come to a decision within the next 2 weeks? And almost everybody, if you say this early in your sales process, will say, sure, yeah, absolutely, that's fine. Now you've got permission to have all of your messaging after the hot lead follow-up to disconnect at the end of 2 weeks. So you can literally say, 13 days in, hey, we're coming up on the 2-week deadline. We both agreed we'd make a decision. Can we jump back on real quick sometime today or tomorrow to discuss next steps? Or you have that permission to do that. And then you can also have the takeaway in the sales process, which is one of the most powerful things you can do in any sales process, which is to say, hey, you know what? It's been 2 weeks. It seems like you've decided to go a different direction. Not a problem. I appreciate the opportunity. I would love your feedback on how we can do better next time, right? You've taken the deal off the table. And a lot of times if they were interested, if they were really serious about doing something, that's when they reemerge. And they're like, whoa. I do want to do this. Let's get started, right? And if they don't, that's also telling you something. It's telling you that they probably weren't ever going to do anything with you. And you can free up your mental space. You can free up your pipeline to focus on the next opportunity. So simple thing, but has a big impact. Having the deadline and then literally removing them from the pipeline so that you know what's actually in play within a 2-week time frame. So we drop a package in the mail like this, and then we got a series of emails that go out that are just nurturing emails, right? Obviously, we're going to send the program overview. Hey, thanks so much for your time. Really excited about working with you. Here's a document that explains exactly what we're going to do. If you've got any questions, let me know. But then we're going to drop, let's say, some client case studies. We met the other day. You seemed really interested. I just want to share some examples and case studies. That way you can take a look. You can send client references. A lot of people don't like to give references, but if you have happy clients that are happy to speak positively about you, I don't know why you wouldn't say, like, here's 5 of our happy clients. Feel free to reach out, and they'll be glad to tell you what their experience has been with us. Live examples. You can kind of engineer that communication process. And what's really cool is you can automate this, right? The hot lead follow-up process should be automated. It should be as easy as moving your opportunity to hot lead follow-up, have a package that's being housed somewhere that somebody, like we use City Blueprint, they literally just grab the stuff off the shelf and ship it out every time we have a meeting with somebody that seemed interested. And then, of course, the email automations can happen and fire after that. Type hot lead follow-up just type hot lead if you'll do this, right? After the sales call, put an automation in place where they're going to get touched many times until that 2-week window ends. And you're going to use the disconnect to say, hey, look, either we're going to do this thing or we're not. Awesome. I'm seeing lots of hot leads coming in. Fantastic. And then we want to make sure we retarget through the entire flow, right? Which is, we've got attract, convert, close, delight. We're moving people through a process. We're moving them through a funnel. They got to our website or they got to one of our landing pages. We want to have an offer for our first lead magnet, right? And we want to offer them the book. We want to offer them the guide. And then once they've opted in for the thing, now we want to make sure they're seeing us all over the place with examples and case studies and moving them to the next step, which is to schedule. And then once they've scheduled, we want to make sure they're seeing more and more social proof, videos of our clients, testimonials from our clients saying that we can do the thing that we just told them we could do. Lots of different things on this. I could probably go 45 minutes to an hour just on retargeting. I don't want to get into the weeds on that. But just type funnel if you feel like this is clear. Like, we can do some really cool things with the funnel to position ourselves as the expert, to get prospects to raise their hands and to get them to come to us pre-positioned to buy. Awesome. I'm seeing a bunch of funnel comments. Some quick KPIs and benchmarks here. We want about a 25 to 30% opt-in ratio on the landing page. So if you're offering a book, coming back to the book, and they're getting to the landing page where it's like they get to decide whether they're going to enter their contact details or not, we want 25 to 30% of those people to actually opt in. From there, we should be able to take 5% opt-in to appointment. And that's a metric you want to optimize for. 5% appointment to opt-in doesn't happen through automations. Like, if you're just going to send the email and you're going to take them to the shortcut, you'll probably get like 1% if you're lucky. You have to pick up the phone. You have to connect on social media. You have to send DMs, right? Those two things work together. And then ideally, at least a 20% close ratio, right? If you're well positioned in the industry, you've put out good content, it should be more like 30% or higher. But if you can get 20% or higher, that's a 1% opt-in to client ratio. If you can optimize for that, like there's really nothing that's going to slow you down as you look to grow and scale your agency. Let's skip through this. A beautiful, beautiful example of this actual funnel in play is Jim Moline and Brian Niebler from Roofer Marketers. They run an agency serving the roofing space, and they implemented this funnel. And we're looking back now several years, right? So they were at a startup. They decided they were going to focus on the roofing industry. They saw this funnel, and they literally put it into action, right? Offering their free book. Once they've scheduled, taking them to a place where they can schedule in. Once they've scheduled in, taking them to a place that says, hey, you've scheduled, it's going to be great. Here's what you can expect on the call. Well, they grew over the last couple of years. They grew from $13,000 in monthly recurring revenue to $450,000 in monthly recurring revenue, and recently sold the agency to Job Nimbus, the big CRM within the industry, and literally had a multiple seven-figure exit. And so this is just it's a good example that you don't have to get over fancy. You don't have to overthink it. If you implement this process, you put it into play, you put some traffic and some like actual authority behind it, you can have accelerated growth. And so in your workbooks there, I've given you guys this entire flow where you've got the visuals, you've got some of the high-level details. Again, this fits into our seven-figure agency growth system. If you're not a member of Seven-Figure Agency and you want some help with this, I've given you the high-level details, which are great, right? I think most of you guys could probably take some piece of that and say, hey, I can re-engineer it. But I personally am always looking at